Hello everyone and welcome to another arts and crafts video. In this video, I'll be showing you how you can paint this thunderstorm at night, lightning bolt scene. And before we get started, let me just list off all the materials you need so you can double check you got everything in your kit. So the first thing you need is a blank canvas. I'm using this canvas board. You'll need a brush. Your kit might come with different size brushes and even a foam brush, and that was mostly for the outdoor activity. At home, you only really need one little brush, and if you'd like, you can use the biggest brush that comes in the set. You need your paints. The colors I'll be using are white, blue, black, and yellow, and that's it. And some optional supplies are a cup of water and some tissues to rinse off your brushes between colors, and some kind of palette. I have this artist palette, but you can use a paper plate or a plastic plate too. So now with that out of the way, let's get right into the craft. So step one is just covering the entire canvas with black paint. This is where having your big brush will come in handy, but you can certainly do this with a smaller brush if that's what you're working with at home. You're free to use up all your black paint, or you can save a little bit just in case you might make a mistake later on. You can save some black paint to kind of erase your mistake and then redo it. So here's my here's my canvas right now. It's just completely black. I'm going to put it down gently so it can dry for maybe 5 minutes. The next step is painting the ground, and it's pretty easy. It's just a straight line with the blue paint, just like that. I hope you can see that on camera. And now with just a little bit of paint on my brush, I'm just kind of going back and forth. So I'm putting it mostly in this area right here, because basically we're just preparing this ground line for the lightning bolt. So layer up a lot of blue paint towards the middle or slightly left. And this is why it's good to have saved some black paint, because if you kind of feel like you use too much, you can go back with the black paint and correct it to make it a little more darker. So this is what mine looks like in the end. I hope you can see it. It's really subtle, and that's what we want right now. So don't worry if you feel like yours is too dark. We'll add more little highlights to it to make it stand out more. Okay, so now we're going to paint the clouds, and we need a lighter shade of blue for this. So we're going to be mixing the blue and the white paint. You can do this two different ways. First way I'll show you, depending on whether or not you have a palette with you. That is just mixing directly on the canvas, and this involves just drawing some clouds and using the pure blue paint right there on the canvas. And then what you can do is, once you have your wet blue paint on there, you can take a little bit of white and just start mixing it right there. And just be careful, because with the white paint, less is definitely more. So this is what mine looks like right now. That's one way to do it, just mixing your colors directly on the canvas while it's still wet. And a different way to do it is, if you have a palette or a paper plate or a plastic plate, you can scoop up a little bit of the white with a clean brush, and you can scoop up And with another clean brush, you can scoop up some blue paint and then mix them on your palette. And with this color, I'm making that middle cloud shape that goes in between the front two. And this was by accident, but this is kind of what it looks like when you add a little more white than blue to the mix. And it's not a big deal if you accidentally put too much white. You can scoop up a little more blue and add it. So I didn't really mean to make my two clouds two different kinds of blue, but I kind of like the way it looks. If you'd like to do that too, for the middle one, I added a little more white than blue, and then for this one, I added more blue than white. If you want them all to be the same color, then I would suggest just painting them all three clouds with the same mix and not doing it like I did, where I technically used two different mixtures. So I'm going to use the technique of just mixing the colors directly on the canvas while they're still wet, so I can get that darker cloud effect. So here are what my clouds look like, and we can just you can take that lighter blue mixture and add some lines right here on the bottom to add to that lighting effect. Or if you're painting and mixing directly on the canvas, you can start off with some pure blue paint and just add it down there again, and then go into your white paint and then lightly mix them together on the canvas to kind of enhance this area where the lightning bolts are going to strike. So now you can see this spot is really pops out now. So there you go. I think the hardest part is over. I'm going to rinse off my brush so we can move on to painting the lightning bolts. So now we're going to paint the lightning bolts, and for that you need a nice clean brush. So either use one of your clean brushes or rinse off the one you just used, load it up with completely white paint, and you can I'm just making a really wiggly line, and I'm heading towards that spot on the bottom, that highlighted spot on the bottom that we've been working on. And then you can go on somewhere, maybe here or towards the middle, and do another similar line and making them meet. And you can add more paint in the spots that need it, and from there you can make some spots in the lightning bolt that branch off like that. You can just keep adding until you think it's good. You can Google a lightning bolt and try and copy what one looks like in real life, or you can just make it up, kind of like what I'm doing. I'm just adding to fill up all this empty space in the painting. So here are my lightning bolts. This is what it looks like right now. They're just white. But before we go into the yellow, you can just load up your brush a little bit more and you can make the stars. And the stars are just very light dots all over. And you can use these dots as a way to fill up more of the empty space. Okay, so here it is now with some stars. The last step is to add some yellow paint to make the lightning bolts stand out even more. And I'm going to do that actually right now without rinsing my brush. Load it up with yellow paint and you can go right on top of the white lightning bolts that you made. And you're probably not going to cover up the white paint perfectly, so the little white edges and lighter spots of white are just gonna give it that extra dimension. So here's what it looks like with only one side done. You can see the difference that the yellow makes. It just makes it pop out a little bit more. And you're done. So there you go. That's how you can make your own thunderstorm at night painting. I hope you guys had a lot of fun. I hope it inspires you to make more paintings like this. I know it's kind of different working, instead of with just a plain white background, you're working with the opposite, which is like a dark black background. You kind of have to bring things out of the shadows, but it creates some really cool lighting effects when you work this way. If you like the way yours turned out, please feel free to share it with us either by email or on Facebook, so we can share it and everybody can see the cool painting that you made. We always love seeing what you guys do and sharing it with everybody. So I'll leave you guys to it. Happy crafting, happy creating, and I'll see you in the next video.